All right, let's talk with retired Border Patrol agent who founded the chaplaincy program, Frank Lopez Jr. Frank, welcome back to Victory News.
Hey, thanks for having me back on.
The Rasmussen poll we reported on revealed that most Americans want more law enforcement on the border. Do you think that the answer, or only part of the solution, and is Governor Abbott doing enough? Is this the answer?
Look, my first take on that is it's good to have law enforcement on the ground. The only thing that's going to happen, though, my concern is that's just more people being apprehended. That's going to be turned over to Alejandro Mayorkas DHS, only to be released into the country. We need to enforce existing laws, and there have to be consequences for coming into the country illegally. So if these folks, extra law enforcement on the ground was here to capture persons and then turn them over with consequences, prosecution time in jail, or being removed from the country, then that's a great thing. There is an added benefit to it. Just recently in Brackenville, Texas, a few days ago, in Kinney County, right next door to my county, we had a chase where suspected illegal aliens, fled into the community of Brackenville, Clark Springs, and citizens there were warned to remain in home, locked down, because they were considered armed and dangerous. Unofficial reports of shots fired at or in the direction of law enforcement, to harm them or to keep them at bay is unknown. None of those persons have been caught. But in a case like that, extra law enforcement sure would have helped to round those people up. But there has to be consequences for violating 8 U.S.C. 1325, which is illegal entry into the United States.
Here's what a lot of people don't realize, that people are streaming across the border daily, and many are coming from countries other than Mexico. Most of them are. You have any way of knowing how many criminals, like you just spoke about, are among those numbers?
There's no way, and I totally agree with Sheriff Lamb. The scary thing, the terrifying thing is we don't know what we don't know. And even that estimate, guesstimate of double the gotaways, I would say even that's conservative. It's terrifying. Look, the other aspect of what you said about these people not being processed other than just given a piece of paper. If they're not being fingerprinted, folks, if they're they're not taking pictures of these persons, we have no way of knowing. In other words, if we're not documenting their fingerprints, if they go commit a crime in the United States, we don't even have anything to follow back to. And so that needs to be looked at by the incoming Congress. Hopefully we'll get a good Republican leader in there that will put that on the front burner. America must be secured.
Now, Frank, you travel up and down the border frequently. You live there. Tell us some of the other things you've witnessed that no one else has been reporting on.
Well, look, one of the things that I see is just the tremendous burden that this is putting on our nation. There have been some images out of El Paso. And what's happening in downtown El Paso. I lived in El Paso. Right down the road in Eagle Pass, Texas, we have these non-government organizations, and you asked Sheriff Lamb about that, but they are actively working. They're actively working, folks, with people outside the country. These NGOs are spreading wide tentacles throughout the globe, funneling people into the country. This omnibus bill that just passed a few days ago, had money not for enforcement on the border, but for FEMA and humanitarian aid, quote unquote, and that's to bring people into our country. So what I am seeing is a full-blown apparatus. The United States government working with non-government organizations, with counterparts in Mexico, and even at some point or another with cartels and funneling people into our country. Wow. And it's tremendous to see it in person.
That's the thing. If I think my government's working with the cartels, it's all bad. That's really bad. Now, I'm going to ask you about this. The Supreme Court is scheduled to look at a case filed by 17 states urging the high court to consider whether states have the power to regulate how social media companies moderate content on their platforms. So let me ask you this. How has social media helped or hurt your efforts to get the true story of the border crisis out to more people?
Look, certainly we've used what we can, being, unaffiliated citizens out here just trying to document what's happening on the border. We have used social media extensively, but just a few hours ago, I spoke with a friend of mine who has been censored by the media. There comes a point to where the balance is tipped. They don't want us to get the information out to America. He has been to a certain extent, his audience has been shrunk. They are certainly working against him. And that's been a concern of mine, that any day now, Facebook or YouTube is going to shut me down because I'm going to cross paths with somebody that they don't like what I'm saying.
Well, Frank, we're going to make sure your message gets out. Real quickly, where can people follow your reporting on the situation at the border? Where can we follow you?
They can go to my Facebook page, Frank Lopez Jr., U.S. Border Patriot, or my webpage, usborderpatriot.com.
Okay, and I encourage people to do it. You'll find out firsthand the truth of what's happening. Frank, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you. God bless you.